Hey guys, it's Trace the Kid, and I'm back with another discussion about NF and Eminem. I have a friend who's been asking me to make this video, so I'm going to go ahead and try to knock this out as quickly as possible. She basically asked to give my thoughts on who's the better artist, NF or Eminem. I think that conversation is really subjective, as are most artist comparison conversations, because we're talking about two entirely different human beings. But we can talk about some things that I think are a little less subjective, and then I'll give my opinion, I guess, towards the end of this video. So some of the less subjective things, I would say, are lyricism. I I would have to say Eminem is a better lyricist than NF in terms of rhyming words. The technical side of rhyming words and syllables, I really don't think anybody is better than Eminem at that. So that's just what Eminem obsesses over, and yeah, I think he wins that in terms of the technical side of just being lyrical. Um, singing, singing NF wins for sure. I mean, Eminem pretty much told us he can't sing, although he did a lot of singing for not being able to sing. But NF has a really good voice actually, and can rap really well. So being able to pair those two things together, I think, is really cool when an artist can do that. And NF does it well. He for sure sings better. So I think those are a couple of the less subjective things. I think what's hard about this conversation is that it's almost like a Michael Jordan versus LeBron type of conversation where, Eminem came into the rap scene in a completely different era than NF did. And so it's hard to say what would have happened if they were kind of making their way into the scene at the same time. I would say that the things that Eminem was able to pull off in terms of overcoming a lot of the racial barriers, I don't know if anybody but Eminem could have done that, to be honest. I mean, maybe, but the way that Eminem came out during a time where like white boys weren't allowed to rap, or at least weren't taken seriously, the way that he came out so outlandishly and so like in your face, I think that was kind of exactly what was needed to break down some of those walls. And his lyrical skill was like, dude, this kid is rhyming. So I don't know if anybody else could have done that, to be honest. But it's hard to say. It's like I said, it's Michael versus LeBron. It's just, who knows. As far as impact, I would say that Eminem has pretty much had more impact than anyone on rap itself. Like I said, not only breaking down the racial barriers in the earlier parts of his career, but just like the longevity of his career. I think he's had probably one of the best careers out of any rapper ever. And he's still killing it. So I think he sold the most records out of anyone last year. So I mean, that's amazing. So in terms of like influence, even still, I think he's helping to push artists that are coming up now to be as lyrical as they can be, and hold that as a priority, which I feel like is really important, and I appreciate that he's doing that, because he set the bar so high lyrically that a lot of artists are at least trying to push and challenge themselves to be more lyrical. And in an era of auto-tune and mumble rap, it's nice that even some of the really young artists that are coming up are still appreciating that because of Eminem, most likely, and other artists who have been influenced by Eminem. One of those artists being NF. So I don't think we would even be having this conversation had Eminem not had the impact that he had, because clearly, and NF has said it, he was influenced by Eminem and pretty much motivated to start rapping because of Eminem. So, impact, major. As far as like individual impact, I would say that NF probably has a more positive impact on his direct listeners than Eminem. I know for me, I had definitely a few years where I listened to Eminem like almost exclusively. And while there were positives to that, and it definitely pushed me to want to start rapping, and learn lyricism and all that stuff, and it motivated me, I do think there was some negative impact, just like because of some of the emotion in his music wasn't quite as positive, and I was an angry teenager, so I embraced that, and kind of was influenced, and maybe it was a little bit of fuel on the fire from Eminem's music to kind of impact me to be even more negative than I should have been. But either way, both artists have had a huge impact, and that's kind of a case by case basis on how good of an impact one had versus the other. And I think a lot of the young kids, like if you're 13 or 14 or 15 and you're listening to NF, you probably don't know a lot of Eminem's music. So I mean, I've gone back through like his whole catalog, like all the way back. I've listened to everything he's put out, because he was like my favorite artist for a while. So but if you're really really young, you may not have, and so Eminem probably doesn't have nearly the impact on your life as NF, if you're an NF fan. So I mean, that's probably a good thing, to be honest, because NF, I really like the character that NF portrays, not only in his music, like yeah, he keeps it real, but also he's not really putting out any negative messages or promoting ignorance or anything. Like he's pretty much putting out solid, consistent, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, like integral. Like he says and lives what he says kind of the same way. I mean, his relationship with his wife is good. So like all of those things are just positive, whereas Eminem was kind of a little bit more on the negative side with like drugs and a bad relationship, and just talking about things that are a little more reckless and not so much promoting a lifestyle that would be beneficial to somebody. So in that regard, I would say for the most part Eminem had a more negative influence, and NF had a has a more positive influence. So I love what NF is doing. I think he's great. I think he's a great writer. Even though he may not be as lyrical, he definitely takes time to make sure that his lyrics are well written. And even though the rhyming of the words may not be as complex, like what he's saying, you feel it. So and and the thing is, I think he's still developing. I think as time goes on, he may end up getting more lyrical and still be able to say what he wants to say if he decides that he wants to prioritize that. I don't think he always prioritizes a rhyme over how he wants to say something, which in a lot of cases is totally fine. But in a lot of cases, you can do both. So it kind of just depends on how you're feeling at the time that you're writing, I guess. So yeah, I don't know how much more there really is to break down in terms of like this side and this side. I like both artists a lot for different reasons. I think they're in completely different eras of music, and NF fits in really well with the emo rap thing that's kind of going on right now. Eminem took over rap for like, I don't even know how long. You know, he like owned the scene, um, and he still kind of does in some ways. So um, both artists are amazing, and it, you just kind of have to appreciate different things about them. They're a lot different, and I think that that's what I appreciate about them is, you know, it's pretty common I think for NF to get compared to Eminem, and yes, he was influenced by Eminem, but and like pretty much every white rapper who is lyrical in any form or fashion, and if you have even close to a high voice, you're really in trouble because you're for sure Eminem. But you know, the fact that both artists have been able to come out and really just kind of be themselves in a pretty fake industry, kind of, I would say. A lot of things just aren't what they seem, I guess, or what. Yeah, it's a lot of it's fake. Nobody has to argue that. You know, so for artists to come out and just keep it real, whether their life is good or it's hard or it's, you know, whatever they're feeling, like they're just putting out emotional music. They're putting out music that portrays what they're going through. They're telling stories. Uh, I think that makes a great artist. And of course, there's other aspects like, you know, beats and lyrical ability and inflection and different things that are more technical, I guess. Um, and those also play a part in marketing. Um, NF's branding and marketing is amazing. So I think Eminem's was too. It's just a lot different. Um, and Eminem's been able to kind of adjust his along the way to stay relevant, which is pretty impressive. Of course, both guys have a big team and all kinds of data analysts, I'm sure, to help them figure out the best ways to go and all that stuff. So it does take a team, but both artists are awesome, and there's really no way to say who's the better artist. I don't think it's apples and oranges. Both are amazing, and LeBron is amazing. Michael Jordan was amazing in their respective eras, and I mean Eminem is still a bigger artist than NF is. So, like, it's hard to say what's going to happen in, you know, a year or two, 3 years when NF is potentially as big as Eminem was at the peak of his career. I don't know if that's even going to happen. Eminem was kind of an anomaly. He came out and basically took over rap music like overnight. I mean, he got the Dr. Dre uh, endorsement, and you know that was it. I mean, he was like from zero, nobody to like, you know, just taking off. Um, and NF's career hasn't really gone that way. It's been more gradual for him, which is probably good. I would probably prefer my career to be a little more gradual, although, um, I mean, you figure it out as you go, no matter how it goes. So, uh, yeah, that's about all I got. If you guys have, you know, some thoughts, definitely put them in the comments. Hit subscribe. I have some awesome content coming. I mean, I'm an artist. I'll have music on my page. I'll have more content like this. I definitely like NF and Eminem. That's kind of my lane. So if you guys have other questions, you want me to do more videos about either of those two artists or other similar artists, I'd be glad to chime in on that. And like the video, share the video, and I will talk to you guys soon. I got a lot coming. I'm excited. Peace.